Now, you might look at his production over the See, the problem is I do all these shows. I write this script. I have a 2-hour call. I got a show coming up, and I just start to panic, Phil. There's no better time of the year than Thanksgiving. Am I right? You get together with people and family members you haven't seen in a long time. Many of them you don't even like. Some you had no idea they were still alive, for that matter, showing up with a significant other that decides to inject politics straight into the conversation out of the gate. But there's one thing that can bring us all together. You know what that is? It's the Bears and the Lions. Really, Thanksgiving football is phenomenal, though. It wouldn't be if we didn't have fantasy, though. I'm Dave Loughran, back with another edition of Must Start Players for Week 12. We keep this short and simple every single week. We bring you the best guys that you need in your lineup. Not, of course, the Jonathan Taylors. We know that guy's pretty good. Start him every week, and the Devontae Adams. But some players that you might not have been considering, or that maybe you were on the fence about. And if you're watching this video and you still have questions, hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to answer all of them. While you're at it, follow me on Twitter at Loughy_D, LOUGHY_D. It's right there underneath my head. Of course, like this video if you haven't done so yet. It helps us greatly. Subscribe to the channel as well, and let's dive into it. It's been a disappointing season for Miles Sanders, and so far I've definitely taken an L on this one. But we'd be foolish to completely throw in the towel right now. While Sanders was watching games from the sidelines after being placed on the IR with a sprained ankle, Nick Sirianni seemingly had an epiphany when a benevolent voice came to him quietly and whispered in his ear, "Stop throwing the ball 50 times a game, you dummy. You have one of the best run blocking lines in football and a young quarterback who can't operate in a system like this." Sirianni listened, and ever since, no team is running the ball at a higher clip than Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, the Eagles are averaging an insane 43.5 rush attempts per game over the last 4 weeks, of which they've gone 3-1 and lost their only game on a field goal as time expired. Now they'll face the Giants on the road, where they're 3.5-point favorites, and should be able to torture Daniel Jones and New York's 32nd ranked offensive line with their elite pass rush. Once again, Sirianni should be able to lean on the run, and Sanders should see no shortage of opportunities. Jordan Howard will be out with a knee injury, and Sanders, who handled 16 carries with nearly 6 yards per attempt in his return to action last week, should get 20-plus total touches. The Eagles' run game is purely dominant right now, and we should all want a piece of it in the name of Miles Sanders. Michael Gallup left plenty to be desired in Sunday's loss to the Chiefs, but so did everyone in Dallas. Dak Prescott was sacked 5 times and struggled to find any rhythm throughout the day, but should bounce back against the Raiders team that is in full collapse mode right now. While Las Vegas does have a top-rated pass rush, their inability to stop the run has led to poor play across the board and plenty of red zone trips for their opponents. With Amari Cooper already ruled out and CeeDee Lamb in the league's concussion protocol, Gallup could be the Cowboys' #1 receiver on Thanksgiving Day, where they'll have a 29-point implied total at home. I love Ezekiel Elliott in this game if he plays and isn't limited, or of course Tony Pollard in the event that Elliott is out. Even Pollard, if Elliott is in, but maybe not at full capacity, makes for a pretty decent deep league flex because the Raiders' run defense is horrid. But the offense is going to be far more concentrated on Thursday for Dallas, including in the passing game. And Gallup already had a 23% target share last week, despite Lamb playing over 50% of the snaps. And let's not forget, Gallup is a talented receiver who can undoubtedly hold down a top role in the offense for a week. And he was on the field for 94% of snaps while running routes on a whopping 96% of dropbacks in Week 11. That's an elite level of opportunity, and as we know, volume is king in fantasy football. With several top pass catchers either injured or on a bye this week, Gallup makes for one of the best replacements you can find. Antonio Gibson, since returning from a bye week and seemingly getting healthy for the first time all season, has handled 43 carries over the last 2 weeks. Now, you might look at his production over that span and be somewhat underwhelmed. He only averaged 2.7 yards per carry in Week 10, but that was against Tampa, and he did score twice, and didn't find the end zone in Week 11, but averaged 5 yards per attempt. But Gibson has been the only guy in the red zone for Washington lately, amassing 14 carries and 5 goal line carries since the bye. That's huge, and Washington is 2-0 across that stretch. They're playing in favorable game scripts, and it's benefiting Gibson greatly. And that shouldn't change on Monday when they square off against the Seahawks, whose offense has been truly atrocious since Russell Wilson returned, scoring 13 total points in 2 games with 474 total yards. Washington's defense has lost some key pieces on the defensive line of late, but they're still slight favorites at home. And while Seattle's defense has looked better, they're still allowing the 10th most rushing yards per game. Either way, this sets up as a great spot for Gibson to keep getting a big workload on a night where, unless the Seahawks have figured something out, he shouldn't have to worry about playing from behind. And in the games where Washington hasn't been blown out, Gibson is averaging 17 carries and 19 touches per game. That's good volume right there. Darnell Mooney had the best game of any Bears receiver on the season last week, thanks to Andy Dalton. I know we all love Justin Fields and he's an analytics darling, but Dalton is better for Chicago pass catchers right now. Not because he's good, but because he isn't mobile and he throws with reckless abandon. Mooney was targeted 16 times on Sunday, of which 10 of them and a 2-point conversion attempt came from Dalton, including a 60-yard touchdown. Now, let's not act like they were efficient targets, but this volume is undeniably good. And it's not like Mooney isn't a skilled receiver either. He has strong big play abilities, targeted deep downfield, and was on the field for 92% of snaps in Week 11. I don't expect Allen Robinson to play on Thursday with a short turnaround after having not practiced all week the week before, which means Mooney, who had a 44% target share with Dalton at the helm, should get fed once again. Oh, and he's facing the Lions, who allow 8.3 yards per attempt to opposing passers and allowed the second biggest game to Mooney on the season. The only reason Detroit isn't allowing 300-plus passing yards every week is because, one, they face some quarterbacks way worse than Dalton of late, believe it or not, and two, they can't stop the run. But Mooney has got to be viewed as a top receiving option this week. Not just a top streaming option, but one of the better options on Week 12 altogether, assuming Robinson is out. If you're looking for some desperation starters in deep leagues, maybe you're dealing with injuries or bye weeks or just something that's put you in a tough spot in the flex spot, Rex Burkhead and David Johnson are not the craziest options. Now, hear me out. You are not expecting a lot of efficiency from these guys, but they want to run the football if they can, and we've actually seen that in games where they're playing in a neutral or positive game script, like last week, where both David Johnson and Rex Burkhead got a ton of work in a surprise win against the Titans. And if you need a receiver, Cedrick Wilson, in the event that CeeDee Lamb is out, will become the de facto number 2, given that Amari Cooper is already on the COVID-19 list. You could do better, but you could also do a whole lot worse. I was legitimately concerned about Rob Gronkowski being limited in his return to action this past Monday because he was playing only his second game since Week 3, and he was non-existent in Week 8 upon making a short-lasting appearance before another absence in Week 10. But he looked fantastic against the Giants, similar to what we saw in Weeks 1 through 3, where he was the tight end 2 behind only Travis Kelce. Gronk had the second highest target count behind only Evans and only played 59% of snaps, which is likely to increase after he gets a full healthy week under his belt. Gronkowski played 88 and 81% of snaps through the first 2 weeks of the year when he was healthy and was Brady's primary target in the end zone. We'll be without Travis Kelce this week, and the tight end position has been notoriously bad, to the point where Gronk is less than 25 points outside of the top 10, despite only playing in 4 games. So ultimately, in the games where Gronk has played, not including Week 8 where he saw only 6 snaps, he's the tight end 2 on the best offense in football. You won't always get a huge target share from Gronk, but you'll always get good targets, plenty of red zone trips, and a damn good matchup against a Colts team that's allowed a league-high 25 passing touchdowns and 6.5% touchdown rate this season. Meanwhile, the Colts are a bottom 3 team in targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, and fantasy points allowed to tight ends in 2021. Boom. If you love fantasy football and you haven't played daily fantasy football yet, well, I got an amazing offer for you. And my only hesitation in telling you this is that you're just going to stop watching my videos here on this channel. But that's cool. You can head over to our main channel, the DFS one, and well, we'll be square. But check this out. If you sign up for Yahoo Fantasy as a new user, got to be a new user, using the link below in the description and deposit just $10 or more if you'd like, but only has to be $10. You will get 1 full free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's everything on the site. And it's not just football, baseball, basketball, hockey, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, even esports. If they have contests out there, we've got content for it. And all of the tools you need to win at Yahoo as well. Ownership projections, player projections, top stack tool, boom bust tool, the lineup builder, and so much more, all of which are built by the #1 ranked DFS player out there, Awesemo himself, won millions of dollars using these very tools I'm talking about right now. So check it out. Go to Yahoo, sign up using the link in the description, Deposit $10 or more. They will send their information over to us, and we will email you with the steps to get your free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum, a $90 value. You got to check DFS out. You're going to love it. And, well, you can use all of the tools on the site and, of course, follow along every single day of the week with our DFS content on the Awesemo YouTube channel as well. Check it out. Link in the description below. We'll see you over there. James Robinson plays on a truly terrible Jaguars team, particularly a truly terrible Jaguars offense. They routinely play from behind, and Trevor Lawrence has arguably been the worst quarterback in football up until this point. However, Robinson is still averaging 19 looks per game since week 3, not including the loss to Seattle where he played only 8 snaps, and has been the clear goal line back while getting almost 60% of the team carries inside the red zone. He's running routes on 51% of dropbacks, and while we'd like to see more targets when playing from behind, Robinson's still the primary pass catcher in this backfield too. The most important thing here, though, is the home matchup against the Falcons. Atlanta's offense has at times looked just as bad as Jacksonville's. They've scored 3 total points over the last 2 weeks while coughing up 68, which is why they're only 1-point favorites on Sunday. This is one of those spots where, unless everything goes sideways, and that's been no strange occurrence this season, to be fair, Robinson should be inundated with carries. And make no mistake about it, while the Jaguars are 24th in run play percentage this season, most of that is because they've been playing from behind. They're actually top 10 in game script adjusted run play percentage on the year, which suggests that as long as they aren't getting smoked again, we should see a far more balanced approach. You have to go back to the well with Robinson this week because, well, the Rams and Titans are up next on the schedule after this. Get it while it lasts, fellas. You know that I usually don't like to talk about quarterbacks in these videos. I said it a million times, but rushing quarterbacks are an exception to the rule. There are actually plenty of quarterbacks that I would be benching for Cam Newton this week. The list is long, so if you're faced with a dilemma, feel free to hit me up in the comments and I'll get at you. And there really is no reason to not like him. Last year, he was pretty rough at times, but he had zero offensive help. Granted, he was the Patriots' clear goal line back, but it's hard to reach the goal line when you have no one to throw to. In Carolina, Newton has 2 top weapons in DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, and has already racked up 5 combined passing and rushing touchdowns on only 60 snaps in Carolina. For context, PJ Walker converted 95 snaps into 0 touchdowns this season, while Sam Darnold turned 313 snaps into 2 touchdowns from week 5 through 9. Brutal. Newton doesn't need to win, and he doesn't even need to be a great passer in order to yield strong fantasy results. He'll get goal line looks, designed runs, and a fine matchup against the Dolphins on Sunday. Just look at what rushing quarterbacks can do even when they don't produce in the passing game. Jalen Hurts is the best example of this in 2021, and Newton's track record speaks for itself. I wouldn't want Newton on my team if I'm trying to make a playoff run, but I'll certainly take him on my fantasy teams in week 12. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks as always for hanging out, and we'll catch you back here for the next one right here on the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel. Peace.